Welcome, everybody. The ABJ podcast presents Tornado Tag, the ECW World Television Championship. ABJ and BP will take you on the history of the ECW World Television Championship. We're going to cover some of the local independent stuff and much, much more on this episode of Tornado Tag. What's going on, bud?
How is it going?
How's it? It's going. It's going. It's been it's wild. It's been a crazy day.
Oh, head, yes.
Yeah, so I have to still dye her hair, but we
nice, very cool. It almost looks like it almost looks right now like a Caucasian Oscar.
Yeah, it does.
A Caucasian Oscar with "help me" written backward across her forehead.
Yeah, sure does. But we're gonna be covering the ECW World Television Championship. So our first title that we're covering that's outside I guess this is still technically inside the WWE frame, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, they own everything. They own ECW. They own the likenesses and everything. Like, they've never, even when they brought back ECW, they never really used the TV title, but I guess it is kind of still quote unquote theirs.
Yeah.
But then again, what isn't at this point? Unless you're just talking about like
here's a quick question. When ECW went under, and you're thinking to yourself, man, if there's one title that's going to surpass longer than the history of the ECW company itself, did you ever think it'd be the FTW title defended in multiple different companies?
No, because it was long gone by the time ECW ended. It was long gone. But you get a guy who loves titles, and he can't resist it. Well, listen, then again,
there's nothing wrong with titles. You know, I'm part of the title business now, being a Ruda Entertainment guy. So yes, one of the big things is before we get into everything, Ruda Entertainment, ladies and gentlemen, is your go-to place for titles. This is that 10mm or the 2mm brass title, and it is of the ECW World Television Championship. I got a little autograph on it, which is kind of cool. I got Mr. Bill Alfonso himself, Fonzie, on there.
Might have managed a prominent ECW TV champion, that guy.
With him, right?
Yeah, well, I won while they were champion for sure. The other one, I don't think he was managing him while he was champion.
Yeah, so that is the big thing here. So when we do these episodes, we definitely want to implore you to head over to Ruda Entertainment. If you want a custom title of this, you can get it pretty much if you want that zinc, that big bad boy TV replica style where it's just exactly like they used on there. You can get those, or you can get the the brass belts, which is like really good for like travel and showcasing and for kids and the whole nine. Make sure you use ABJ name and recommendation when you do put your order in. Let them know I sent you. But that's pretty much the big thing here is, we want to do at least one title a month where we give it its history and go over everything. And also, let you guys know that you can get those titles cheaper than WWE shop, but with better quality.
Yeah. Custom made. If you want your own title, if you dream it, Ruda Entertainment can make it for you.
Yeah, we have personalized ones ourselves. I have my Tornado Tag title right here. And then I have my Intercontinental YouTube Championship TWF right there. So
I would say my tag title's on my mantle, but it's not so much a mantle more than it's a radiator. But it's covered. It's not going to damage it. It's not going to get heat damage.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah,
you scared me a little there. All right, okay, VP.
It's You're fine. Like everything's fine.
All right. Let's get into some this week in wrestling news and maybe some independent stuff. So what do you got going on this weekend?
What do I have going on this weekend? I have EPW, the Winds of Winter, going on Saturday, the 14th of January. You can DVR Saturday night's main event. It's going to be there forever. Come see, if you're local, come see some live professional wrestling. Our buddy Rembrandt will be making the first defense of his PPW heavyweight title. We don't know who against, though. Whoever wins a battle royal earlier that night, it could be anybody. It could be it could be Bill Alfonso. It's not going to be Bill Alfonso.
What if he showed up?
Never know. What if he does? I don't think he's going to be jumping in the battle royal. He doesn't want to give those.
Maybe he'll ref it. Call her straight down the middle.
Right down the middle. Always right down the middle. So yeah, we're gonna have that. We're gonna have the match. I have a few matches circled. I always do. I try to take pride in everything we do there. But Christian Robinson and Diego Hill is gonna be that's gonna be the TikTok reel, highlight reel, YouTube shorts. the viral moment match of the night, because those two can do some fun stuff, and that's going to be for the PPW TV title, the WYLN TV title. We are back on TV, PPW High Voltage. Just over the weekend, we had our episode where you got to see Rembrandt with the most daring and calculated cash-in, I think, ever in the history of a briefcase cash-in. And it was a dirty trick to pull in this season.
So where did you get the inspiration for that again?
Oh, okay. So we're really just pulling down the fourth wall here. So the idea so if you don't know, Rembrandt dressed up as Santa Claus, and he came out after Facade won his match against Brad Baylor, retained the heavyweight title. Came out, Santa comes out waving to the nice boys and girls, carrying out his Santa sack, gets in the ring, Facade's dancing around the Here Comes Santa Claus, just festive holiday cheer for all. And as soon as Facade is unwise enough to turn his back, wham! It is a Santa sack upside the back of the head, just pummels Facade a little more, shakes loose that Santa sack. There is a golden ticket briefcase in that sack, cashes it in 1, 2, 3. Rembrandt is a new PPW heavyweight champion. And this is a stolen idea. Although a guy whose name you don't like being brought up once said the statute of limitations on gimmick theft is 7 years, and it's been way longer. About 40 years ago in Mid-South Pro Wrestling, they did a thing at the Irish McNeil Boys Club where they came out. It was supposed to be Jim, as Bill Watts would say, Jim Dugan and Ted DiBiase, the ne'er-do-wells, against Mr. Olympia and the Junkyard Dog. And whoever loses this fall, Junkyard Dog's the big star. He's the big star. He is the Hulk Hogan. He is the Cody Rhodes of Mid-South Pro Wrestling. And he whoever loses this fall is going to be out of Mid-South Wrestling. And so DiBiase comes out with his new understudy, Matt Bourne, and they're like, well, Duggan, because Duggan was a wild man. He was a rowdy. He wasn't like this lovable babyface that became in WWF. That crazy Duggan, he got arrested in a bar fight last night. He's sitting in a drunk tank back in Louisiana. So me and Matt Bourne are going to wrestle. They're going to wrestle the Junkyard Dog. And I want to say it was Mr. Olympia, but I could be wrong on that. But I think it was Mr. Olympia. I know JYD was in there. So they also have, lo and behold, the local high school has brought their mascot, which is a gorilla. And the gorilla's dancing around, taking pictures with the kids and just slapping five and having a good old time during the TV taping until the main event happens. And as the referee's distracted, that gorilla comes in and wallops the Junkyard Dog. Junkyard Dog takes the pin. He's out of Mid-South Wrestling. And the gorilla unmasks afterward. It's that no good Jim Dugan. It's that no good Dugan, as Bill Watts would say. And it's an all-time great angle. I believe, and I could be wrong because they did this a few times, that this is the time that the Junkyard Dog comes back as Stagger Lee. They did kind of the Midnight Rider gimmick with him.
Yeah.
But it was a great piece of business.
So it's funny because there also was a moment where there is a 1982 match of Dusty Rhodes versus Kevin Sullivan in Florida. And it was a lights out cage match. And Santa Claus enters the cage.
Well, why would Santa come in the cage? Why would Santa come in the cage? Like, do it when the match. Well, they didn't have money in the bag.
It was a loser leaves town match for 60 days. And Santa Claus comes in and hits Dusty Rhodes and costs Dusty the match. And Dusty then becomes, as we know, as the Midnight Rider. But that Santa Claus was Jake the Snake Roberts. You know who reffed that match?
Was that Bill Alfonso?
Bill Alfonso. He was telling me about it last night. Yeah. So
very nice.
ECW television guy there.
Very nice. All right. All right, fine. I stole it from Kevin Sullivan too. So.
Yeah. We're still all right.
Or Eddie Graham. Oh, the two like if you're gonna steal from the best, and Eddie Graham is probably the best creative mind in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah. So PPW this weekend. What's bell time? Where can people get their tickets? How can they show up?
You can get your tickets at ppwwrestling.com/shop. We will have them at the door at the Slatington Expo Center. Slatington is about 20 minutes from Jim Thorpe, about 30 miles north of Allentown. If you're local, we are going to be working on some stuff for people who aren't as local. We also do have, we did make a pretty big announcement yesterday for the January show. Matt Riddle coming to town, courtesy of Ruda Entertainment. Absolutely. Yes. Look, just because Ruda stepped down and installed me as a general manager of PPW doesn't mean he's not watching, doesn't mean he's not open for business. And if you want to do big business, you work with Ruda Entertainment. That's how it works.
That's what I'm trying to do. Your boy.
There you go.
Trying to climb out of this hole, and Ruda Entertainment's throwing me a lifeline here. So PPW will be a great time. End the year out strong in 2025. PPW had a great year. Next week on the show, just to kind of give people, speaking of the devil, there he is there. Let's go. Ruda right there. So we will have next week will be, and we kind of flipped it. We messed up. I messed up. Next week's going to be Saturday Night Main Event History Up, and we're going to review Saturday Night Main Event. That will still be live next week. The following week will be pre-recorded. It'll go on Christmas Eve, so you guys can watch on your drive, listen on your drive. We'll make sure it drops at midnight, so you guys can watch it midnight Monday, and then you have it for your whole drive Tuesday into the rest of the week. Same will apply for New Year's, but we're the Christmas Eve episode will be our TT Awards, where we're going to go and crown some winners for this year's wrestling awards, and then we're going to do a little bit of predictions going into 2025.
And for the first time in a long time, we're going to be in the same place doing it too.
Yeah, we're be recording together. We're going to be recording at Pilgaroo Brewing Company.
Yes.
So we are going to be probably filming maybe even this week or next week, the Sunday at the brewery. We're going to hang out and film. And if you guys are in the area and you want to stop by, you're more than welcome to stop by the brewery, and maybe you can join us on your TT picks. So you can get us a list, and it doesn't have to come down to me, Bill, Lily, and Brian or BP.
Oh no, it's Clark Kent and Superman.
I know.
No, nobody knows what that initial stands for.
Yeah. It actually stands for Big Pete.
Well, when I first used that on PPW TV when I was doing the backstage interviews for the first time, Paul Bowe was flipping through channels and watching High Voltage, and he goes, "BP Burke, what the hell is that? I like it." And he's like, "What does BP stand for? Big Pecker?"
Yeah, Big Pecker. Of course, Paul went there. Of course.
Yep.
Thick. Yeah, so it'll be a lot. Since Ventura is doing commentary on Saturday Night Main Event, wonder if Shawn Michaels on commentary in San Antonio. Be cool.
Well, this maybe if the next one's in San Antonio, this one is not. And this one is actually going to be in Long Island. It's going to be at the Nassau Coliseum, which was the home of the first Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yeah,
but
this is a once a month thing, right? They're only doing it once a month.
No, I think it's going to be like specials, like the old Saturday Night's Main Event was. They're going to do it a few times a year.
Gotcha.
So it might be. I don't know if it's going to be twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times a year. Probably not more than that. But that's what the old Saturday Night's Main Event was. We'll save that discussion for next week.
Yeah, I'll save it next week. So anything else like wrestling news wise that you want to cover before we jump into it?
I think the big story, if I'm not missing anything lately, has been that Penta El Cero Miedo is going to be officially with WWE. They are heavily teasing he might be on SmackDown. We now have the transfer window open, so that's how they're going to shuffle their rosters as Raw gets ready to move to Netflix. SmackDown's going to stay put on USA. It feels like a lot of your top level guys are probably going to get moved to Raw. Raw is going to segue back into being that A show because Netflix is coughing up the money, and the reports where they want Roman Reigns, they want Cody Rhodes, they want basically what Fox wanted when Fox had SmackDown. And USA has usually kind of is the redheaded stepchild when it comes to stuff like this. So USA might keep like SmackDown might get the world heavyweight title, and there might be a lot of shuffling going around. They did do a little bit of teasing with that. Chad Gable and American Made showed up on SmackDown, and they didn't really call out of attention to it. But during one of the segments, I noticed backstage, Tiffany Stratton was talking to Adam Pearce. They very, very, very overtly had Cody Rhodes coming out of Adam Pearce's office. So they're starting to plant seeds that maybe there's going to be some movement coming around before that big January 6th kickoff to Raw on Netflix, which is crazy because I know they had that stint on Spike TV, but we are almost coming to an end of Raw being on USA Network, where besides that, 5-year window from 2001 to 2000 or 2000 to 2005 or whatever it was, besides that little window, Raw has been on the USA Network for the better part of the last 31 years, almost 32 years.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Wild. All right. Well, let's switch gears, because I know you got some stuff you got going on tonight, getting ready for this big show this weekend. So let's get straight into our topic. Before we get into it, just a quick reminder: if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that thumbs up button, and leave some comments. Let's get the chat flying. Let's get some engagement going. That really helps us out. Share this stream out to your friends. The best way that listen, if you like what we do, and we know a lot of you come and you hang out, the best way we're gonna grow, because we're poor and we're broke, is word of mouth. So tell your friends. Tell is a telephone, tell a wrestler or something.
Telephone, telegraph, tell a wrestler. Those are three ways to spread the word.
Everybody. Fast. Tell everybody, like, yo, these guys do awesome wrestling content, which more wrestling content is coming. I've been doing unboxings lately. Have you been seeing the action figure unboxings?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I know you had the gobbledygooker, right?
Yeah, that's why I did it. I didn't do an unboxing for that one. I did Shawn Michaels. I did for his WrestleMania 12 gear, the metallic collection exclusive. I did Andre and Doink, and I just did Rey Mysterio for
I think the Doink one. The Doink one's the one I caught.
Yeah, so we're doing unboxings. Banging Beers is coming back. I have a whole bunch of beers. I'm going to start recording that. That's going to be a thing again.
I think those two special episodes, the two holiday episodes, are probably going to wind up being a Tornado Tag Banging Beers crossover, because if I'm at Pilgrim Brewing, I'm not drinking water. I'm going to put it that simple.
Same. I'm not drinking that hop water, even though it is very delicious.
Yeah.
We'll do a side by side. We'll probably record that and also do some beer reviews too, because I owe Pilgrim one as well. But and then we have a lot of stuff coming. I'm telling you, movie reviews are coming. Interviews, I'm not saying they're going away, but they're not going to be. It's going to be more exclusive to get an interview on this channel. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not mad. I'm very, very thankful for a lot of people who came on, but man, I put a lot of work into this, and some people don't even share, and that sucks. I'm not going to lie, that sucks bad. I put a lot of effort into this, time, effort, energy, and it just I'm not saying I'm not fully appreciated, but it's hard to feel wanted when you put a lot of work into going to these shows and giving a platform for people, and it seems like your platform's not respected. And I'm just gonna do me, and I'll make solo content. I'll make content with BP. I don't have to do interviews. The ABJ podcast is not just an interview channel, so we'll find other ways to do things and make things find a home. And that's the kind of thing about this. Is like a variety show. The ABJ podcast is essentially the Muppet Show. You know what I mean? You don't know what you're gonna get. We do a little bit of everything, but yeah. And also, if you're listening to this, please, if you're listening on the audio side of things, on Spotify, on Google, on Apple, leave a 5-star review and let people know about it, and we'll grow there as well, and get those big Stardom cast numbers, because those guys killing it.
And again, if there is that wrestling fan in your life that you're looking for that unique Christmas gift for, that unique holiday gift for, Ruda Entertainment's got you covered, and let them know ABJ sent you. He'll get a little taste.
Yeah. Let's ABJ sent you, and get some titles from Ruda for your holiday. Get your belts now, because going into the new year, Ruda's business is blowing up, and the supply and the demand is high, and he can't supply everybody, so he's have to jack rates up a hair just so he can fulfill his orders. You got to
cover costs.
Yeah. So get your titles now, because those days of getting the Ruda costs are going to be slowly trickling away, because business is booming.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into this week's topic, BP, the history of the ECW Television Championship, Daddy.
And I forget what it looked like when they first started, but it definitely didn't look that nice. So the ECW television title starts as the Eastern Championship Wrestling TV title. Starts all the way back in 1992, before Eastern Championship, before it was Extreme Championship Wrestling. It was Eastern Championship Wrestling. It was owned by Todd Gordon. I think at that point in 1992, Paul Heyman's not even involved in ECW yet. Eddie Gilbert's booking the thing. And it is very much a small, local, Philadelphia-based wrestling company. So I did get a chance last fall, to read Todd is God, the book Todd Gordon and Sean Oliver did together, and it was a very good read, especially if ECW means a lot to you. And it really did go through a lot of the process of how ECW kind of came to be. And it was basically, there was this other company, Tri-State Wrestling, with Tri-State Wrestling, either Alliance Association, TWA. They would run these big shows. Sometimes they would run the Civic Center. They would run high schools and things like that. And eventually they kind of ran out of money. And if you ever wanted to know why Pennsylvania wrestling promoters have to post a $10,000 bond, you can thank the Tri-State Wrestling for that, because they kind of just said, "Oh, show's canceled. If you bought tickets, you're not getting your money back for their last show." So they started as Ryan Vox puts here, the Mike Schmidt Sports Bar in Philadelphia. They set up a ring in the bar. Very, very, very small shows, but they did what they could. Todd Gordon, who his family has owned a pawn shop in Philadelphia for generations. Now his daughter is starting to get involved with running it. So I think they're like the fourth or fifth generation of the Gordon family. That
have you ever gone to the pawn shop?
I have never been to Carver W. Reed. No, it would be cool to go there.
Road trip.
I believe it's on Sansom Street. I think it's near the Greyhound station, actually.
Really?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, because I think the Greyhound station's like 10th and Sansom, maybe it'd be like 12th and Sansom. I don't remember exactly. But this was they literally, his family bought, I think his grandfather, his father bought the shop from the guy, Carver W. Reed, and the Gordon family has run that shop for generations.
Kept the name?
Yeah, the name has been the same forever. And so from there, he was kind of involved a little bit with Tri-State, but then it became like him, a few other guys who wrestled for Tri-State. Bob Ortiz, who was the ring announcer. Yeah, they always call it a jewelry store, but it's a pawn shop. It's a pawn shop. So
I hate saying singer.
Yeah, that's a jewelry store. Carver W. Reed's a pawn shop. So the big thing with ECW is kind of, they're just doing local wrestling. Gordon's kind of putting things together. They graduate from the sports bar, but early on it's a lot of local guys. Johnny Hotbody was your first ECW TV champion. He was also one of the early ECW champions. He was just a local guy, big star in TWA, one of the early local big names for ECW. But they do kind of try to bring people in a little bit. There's a reign for a while with Glenn Osborne, and Glenn Osborne is a guy who was like a larger guy. He was like an imposing looking guy, big guy, long blonde hair, would wear like metal studded bracelets. I remember seeing Glenn Osborne still wrestling in like 2001, 2002 locally too, like going to shows. I think he finally retired for good in like 2011. But Glenn Osborne gets it. But eventually, when they actually get TV in 1993, they actually get TV. They kind of vacate the TV title, and they start a tournament for the TV title on TV. That was what a TV title used to be, because like a lot of times your world title or your tag titles, even your US title. Well, there you go. Ryan Vox's dad was a union roofer with Johnny Hotbody. A buddy of mine's dad was also also worked with a former ECW TV champion at the Fruit and Produce Center in Philadelphia. So with that new TV coming in, and this is a big part of Gordon's book. One of the first ECW TV tapings does not happen at the ECW arena, and Joey Styles is not the announcer. It's Jay Sully, and I think the other guy was like Stevie Fabulous or something like that. And they did these tapings at Cabrini College in Delco, which literally they just had their last commencement. They're becoming part of Villanova University. The college is shutting down, and they're probably now, speaking of big podcasts, the person who right at this moment, at least earlier today, had the #1 podcast in the world, did the final commencement speech for Cabrini and was an alumnus.
Cool.
Kylie Kelsey.
Interesting.
She did their final commencement speech. So they do their first tapings at Cabrini College. Almost nobody shows up because there was a massive blizzard that weekend. And through that tournament, Jimmy the Superfly Snuka, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was, if he wasn't the first ECW heavyweight champion, like world champion, he was one of the first. He becomes the TV champion, the first TV champion on TV. Doesn't hold it for long, though, loses it to Terry Funk. And what you're seeing here is a pattern, and this sticks through a lot of this TV title's run, of a lot of the guys who win that title are guys who are in the mix for the world title, too. It's not one of those one where you're throwing on a guy who's going to be on the second match. It's not one of those things. It's definitely something where the ECW TV champion, it's almost like a US title. It's almost like or like what they've been doing with the Intercontinental title when Gunther had it. It was a stepping stone. Braun Breaker now. It's like, okay, he's the Intercontinental champion now, but someday it's not a matter of if he's going to win a world title, it's when. It's one of those things where it's put in that high esteem. And when Snuka loses it, it doesn't get any higher esteem than losing it to Terry Funk. So Terry Funk, Mr. ECW, the heart and soul, everything ECW represents, gets a run. And Sabu gets a run. And not the Taz, but the Tazmaniac gets a run. Have you ever seen the Tazmaniac? The Tazmaniac is interesting.
Yeah, it's where he has like his face painted and stuff.
His face is painted. He's almost like a caveman or a noble savage of some sort. He doesn't talk or anything. And it's always funny. And it might have even been a TV title match because he got hurt. He was still the Tazmaniac. He was slowly starting to become more realistic. But he was like a maniac. He was like this like savage. He would wrestle barefoot.
He looked like a Thundercat.
Okay, that too. And I think he was still a Tazmaniac up until the point he got hurt. Like he had a really bad neck injury in Florida. And they had a really good TV title match. And it might have even been one of the like matches that Guerrero or Malenko were involved or somebody like that. And Joey Styles is doing the commentary. He's like, oh, I have a special guest commentator with me. He's a former judo star from New York City, like going through all these judo accolades. Peter Sinercha's here with me. And then at the end, the whole punchline is, well, I've been calling him Peter Sinercha. You know him as Taz. And that was the kind of segue from Taz being this wild man to this, like,
you know what I just realized?
Guy.
That Hook has like a pumpkin on his trunks.
Does he?
He always has a pumpkin on his trunks. Have you ever noticed that?
No, I did not. The only thing I noticed is the Gen Z mop hair. That's the only thing I really noticed with Hook.
Let me see if I can find a photo of it. But it looks almost like a pumpkin. And now, I'm thinking about it more. It's not a pumpkin. So I'm gonna upload it real quick. That's on all his stuff. It looks like a pumpkin.
Or like a jack-o'-lantern. I thought you meant like a literal pumpkin.
It's the Tazmaniac.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, definitely.
It's 100%. That's his tribute to his dad's first character. That's the Tazmaniac on his trunks.
That's very cool. I'd never noticed that.
I never put that together until I was kind of looking more at the Tazmaniac because he has the jagged teeth around the mouth, the eyes, and the nose. That's 100%. It has to be, right?
That is exactly, that has to be what that is, for sure.
Maybe we just hit something. Has anyone ever talked about that?
No, not that I've ever seen.
Clip it.
There you go. Clip that part. The Tazmaniac's first run with that TV title, though, is not going to be a very long one. It actually he lost it the same night, but on TV it was like a week because they're filming these for TV. Like the same show he wins that TV title, he's going to lose it to a guy who was a super underrated part of ECW's early history, JT Smith. Like JT Smith is his legacy still lasts today in indie wrestling, specifically indie wrestling, because you don't see this a lot on the big stuff. But JT Smith is the guy that popularized. Do you know what he popularized?
No.
He is the guy that is the genesis of the "You fucked up" chant.
Really?
When somebody blows a spot. Yeah. So JT Smith very famously had this match against Mike Awesome where it's at the ECW arena. He's trying to do a dive over the top rope to the floor, but JT Smith's thighs catch on the top rope and he just goes straight down and hits his head on the floor. No mats at the ECW arena, just hits his head on the floor, comes up with a big like hematoma on his head. And they started doing like the "You fucked up" chants then. And eventually later it becomes part of his character. He starts missing moves on purpose and they chant "You fucked up" at him. And then eventually, and you can't do this now with the concussion awareness, but eventually they said he landed on his head too many times and he started to go crazy. And that's why he is also the guy who started the Full-Blooded Italians. I should mention JT Smith is a black man. JT Smith is a black man from, I believe, the Baltimore area. And he thought he was this old world Italian like Frank Sinatra, and he would walk around with the hand. Like and singing. He would sing "Fly Me to the Moon" before his matches and stuff. And then Nunzio, or Little Guido, if we're going by ECW things, he was already around as Damian Stone, but then he recruited JT Smith recruited him into the full-blooded Italians as Little Guido, and then eventually it became like Tracy Smothers and all these Southern guys are going to be part of it. But the originator of the FBI is JT Smith.
Let's keep tallies on this. Go so far where we're at up to JT Smith. How many television champions have you met, worked with, or are seen met or worked with yet?
I mean, as a fan, I've seen Terry Funk wrestle. As a fan, I've seen Jimmy.
Did you get to meet him though?
No.
Okay. So I have met Snuka, Terry Funk, Sabu, and the next two that we're going to talk about.
Okay. Well, yeah, I've met Mikey Whipwreck. Pitbull. I don't know if I've ever met the Pitbull.
Other than as Gary Wolf before, yes.
Mikey Whipwreck, yes, I have. Mikey was kind enough to, as he's a big part of PPW's history, ran PPW school for a while.
Hopefully, if he shows up this weekend, I can add a name to the belt.
I know he did come to the anniversary show. His kids had a wonderful time. It's always good to see Mikey awesome. Whipwreck. Yeah. You want to talk about guys who do not get their credit, do not get their flowers for what they contributed to ECW in the early days. The guy at the top of that list might be Mikey Whipwreck.
That's why we put him on the thumbnail, because we know how goddamn good that guy is. Look at him over there. I put him back to back with RVD.
And that's a little bit later, Mikey Whipwreck. This is the Mikey Whipwreck of the before him, the champion that beats JT Smith is the Pitbull.
Listen, I need thumbnails and I need at least high quality photo, and they did not have them back in the day.
No, there was no Frank Boris at ECW in 1994, not even close.
Yeah, there's shot.
There's probably a guy from like 3 blocks away with one of those disposable Fuji cameras.
It looks like when the Flintstones would get the bird in the box to hammer out and chisel the photos. That's what old ECW photos look like.
Bill Apter wasn't coming to the ECW arena a whole lot. I'll put it that way. But Mikey Whipwreck was a guy who just would come in and I'm pretty sure he was part of the ring crew, would help get everything set up, and they would have him come in and do enhancement matches. And then they just started making a character out of him. And the Pitbull's this big, scary guy. You've met Pip, but back then he was just a Pitbull. Now he's Pitbull, Gary Wolfer. When there was a tag team, Pitbull won. Yeah. And intimidating looking guy. Even now he's intimidating. But back then he was super intimidating because he's, jacked to the gills. He's in the prime of his career. And he's like, I'm going to kill that Mikey Whipwreck. And then, Mikey, what are your thoughts? I'm gonna die. And I forget whoever Pitbull was feuding with, maybe Taz or somebody, cost him the match, and Mikey Whipwreck winds up getting that ECW TV title, but loses it to Jason Knight, who is kind of a manager at this point, but his charges are helping him win it. And I remember when Jason beat Mikey Whipwreck, the next ECW TV show was and Paul Heyman's in at this point. He's fully devoted to Jason being the TV champion. Just this guy who's the smarmiest, most annoying guy. It would be just to put it in PPW, if Travis Norbert won our TV title, the next show, we just did a whole show dedicated to him. He's singing, Jason's singing to the title like it's his girlfriend. He's singing "You Are So Beautiful to Me." It was a great piece of business. It was the Jason Mikey Whipwreck feud. It might be okay, well, we're taking it off of guys who are kind of that higher level guy. Not that Mikey's ascending to that level. Mikey's going to want to be the ECW champion at some point.
Yep.
But it's they're still doing some very interesting stuff with it. And there's going to be an influx of high talent guys though, and they're going to almost turn as the ECW heavyweight title kind of segues off of Shane Douglas and on to guys like the Sandman and Raven. Not that they didn't have a place in what they were doing, but they're going to kind of have ECW be this, or the TV titles. ECW is going to make the TV title almost like that Intercontinental title. I don't want to say the worker belt, but it's going to be the one where if you're just doing that super technical style, you're not really getting into the ECW blood and guts and brawls and fighting all over the building, and you're just going to put on a clinic between the ropes. That's going to be the TV title division for a while, because Jason's going to lose that title in November of 1994, which had to be the November to. Oh no, it's at the Hamburg Fieldhouse. It's not November to remember. It's in Hamburg. They're doing they're taping a few TV episodes here. This is probably where they did the Cactus Jack the Cactus Jack Sabu match where Sabu tries to break the bottle over Cactus's head and it just doesn't work. But Too Cold Scorpio is going to be Jason for that title, and it's going to air a few weeks later on TV. But later that night, Dean Malenko, the shooter Dean Malenko, is going to win it, and they're going to trade the title back and forth. Eddie Guerrero, we talked about him last week. He's going to show up. He's going to win that title. We talked about the Malenko Guerrero Classic.
How sick was it that the TV title was changed hands twice in Hamburg?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And they only ran a handful of shows there, but and to that point, it's always been in either, besides that one at Cabrini, which is right outside of Philly, it's always been at the ECW arena or at like a TV taping at around Philly. And that's going to be the Too Cold the win. The Guerrero win is at a very memorable event, 3-way dance, which kind of popularized triple threat matches. It was a 3-way tag, and then Malenko's going to win it on one of their Florida tours. That might have been the tour where Taz got hurt. Actually, maybe they did one before then. And they're starting to expand a little bit. Guerrero wins it back from Malenko in New York, and basically keeps it until the weekend he's leaving the company. Guerrero's a champion until August 25th, 1995, when they're going to wrestle at the Flagstaff in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, which I think is still around.
Too Cold Scorpio is killing it in our local scene.
Yeah, Mr. Northeast PA, Too Cold Scorpio. Anytime
he took him down to the game room with it. I heard he won the title and he stepped down to the game room.
Well, no, you got to go to school. You got to get an education. You can't go to the game room.
Oh, yeah, he took the kids to school.
Yeah. Are we going to take a limo? No, we're going to step. Can we just take the limo? I'm already late. Can we just take the damn limo, please?
How about we're going to kid that gets dunked on?
Poor kid. You know how they would do that thing? It was like the greatest event in television history where they would do like remakes of old like TV show opens. If I had an unlimited budget, maybe Ruda Entertainment is the one that can make this happen. If we can get Too Cold Scorpio, I want to do a remake of that Too Cold Scorpio promo video where the kids are playing basketball.
If we were still in Broadheadsville, it'd be so easy. The court was right next to the building.
Oh, there's basketball courts everywhere. Yeah, I just want to be I just want to be one of the little kids. Like I just want to be the kid that goes, "We're not going to school. We're going to the game room. You can't go to the arcade. You can't go to the arcade. You need to get an education."
You get dunked on, and then the kid who says that line is Sean Smith.
Okay, that works too. That works too.
Yeah.
That also works. So
and I want Big Dust. I want Big Dust and I want Killian McMurphy to be the women singing.
Yes. Dust has the range for it. Dust can do anything.
Dust has the
It must happen. It must happen. We need to start a Kickstarter or something. This has to happen.
And just because I love him so much and he's so funny, and if we're doing this, the guy who gets out opens the limo door is Ed House.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It'll be a fun time.
It'll be huge. Like him just in a little tiny hat.
Fun time will be had by all.
Yeah. Let's get that. Let's get the fun. Everyone, super chats and donations. Let's make this recreation happen.
The Too Cold Scorpio remake fun.
Yeah.
So
the two biggest budgets are going to be Too Cold Scorpio and the limo. Everybody else, I think, you can get for a stick pack. You know
everybody else getting a hot dog and a handshake, but we got to get a limo. And we got to get Too Cold. I don't know if we're all going to get hot dogs. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah,
might be a cookie. You might get a cookie and a handshake.
Yeah, we'll get a catered.
So Too Cold is going to have a very interesting title loss. He doesn't it keeps the title for a few months, loses it to Mikey Whipwreck in a singles match that also is for the tag team titles, ECW tag team titles that are held by the Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio, which is a very interesting team.
What a wild team.
I believe they were friendly off camera, if I'm not mistaken. I believe there was a little group, and I want to say, well, maybe. I want to say it was Sandman, Too Cold, Fonzie, and Todd Gordon, and unfortunately no longer with us, Woman was part of that group too, and they were very tight knit. They would travel a lot together. They enjoyed each other's company. They were really really good friends. Which is funny because on TV, Fonzie and Todd Gordon are at each other's throats, and they would say like, Yeah, but then behind the scenes, they got
You know
along.
what? You know what kind of
Very
bummed me
well.
out when I talked to Norbert and I was like, "Yo, like the bit you're doing is like so good." I remember it like when they kind of did a little bit at ECW. He's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." He has no idea about the bit. He has no
Yeah,
idea that. Yeah,
people bought that bit too. People believed that for a minute.
yeah.
People believed it. So Too Cold's gonna get it back quickly though. Too Cold's gonna get it back literally about a week later, and then he's gonna lose it to. And I remember this match because if I'm not mistaken, it's a 4-way match, and it's the match where Francine turns heel and joins up with maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Now that I look at it, I think I'm thinking of the wrong thing. I'm looking at the wrong one. So, or am I? Or am I? No, I am looking at the right thing. So Too Cold has the TV title, and it's a 4-way, I believe. Oh no, it's just Shane Douglas and Too Cold. I'm completely wrong. I might be thinking of a later match for the TV title, but Too Cold's going to lose that to the franchise Shane Douglas, who is only a few months removed here. Yeah, I am. I'm thinking of a different show. I just looked a little down the list and I got ahead of myself. Shane Douglas is going to win the title, but he's going to lose it to the aforementioned guy who worked at that Fruit and Produce Center in Philly, Pitbull number 2, Anthony Durrani, who has a bit of a run. And this is when Gary's hurt. So this is a time when Pitbull 1 has.
Is he in the Halo?
Yeah, legitimately injured neck. Stayed in the Halo longer than he had to be. So Shane Douglas could grab the Halo and shake it around and look like the biggest piece of garbage ever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's during this. Pitbull 2 winds up losing the title. And these are very short reigns after Too Cold's reign. Shane Douglas is champion for 3 weeks. Pitbull 2 is champion for 3 weeks. Chris Jericho's champion for 3 weeks. It beats Pitbull 2 for it. And here's a match I was thinking of. This was a really good match from what I remember. Jericho's defending in a 4-way, I want to say elimination match against Pitbull 2, Shane Douglas, and Too Cold. And Shane Douglas, who's feuding with Pitbull 2 at this point, gets the win when Francine turns on the Pitbull. She had been managing the Pitbulls for a while now. Turns on the Pitbulls and joins up with Shane Douglas, and they are kind of attached at the hip for a while until Shane leaves ECW.
Yeah.
So, this is the most ECW thing ever. So Francine, like when she would manage the Pitbull, she would wear like a leather top and like leather shorts. And after she turns on Pitbull 2, she like takes off her leather shorts and she has like bikini bottoms, like full bottoms, not like there's far more revealing things in ECW.
Yeah.
But on the back
from her.
From her, yes. So on the bottoms, they're black bottoms on the back and like the yellow cursive just says franchise.
Yeah.
And that's her like signaling she's with Shane Douglas. And he kicks off one of the longer reigns in the history of this title. Not the longest. There's one that kind of stands out from this. But he is going to be the champion, the TV champion, for almost a year.
When you think, real quick, when you think of like the Mount Rushmore of ECW, is Francine on there? Like she's a big character in ECW.
She is the number one woman, I would say.
Yeah.
By far. Like and like then like after that I had to think like Beulah and
yeah,
a little bit later like Jazz was very good.
But like every female moment I can recall or like I remember of like being the East is Francine getting put through a table or Tommy Dreamer messing with her or like it was Francine versus the world. And the only other person manager wise that feels is Fonz. Like you know what I mean? Like Francine killed it back in the day.
Very much an unsung hero. Like if I'm doing a Mount Rushmore, it's probably off the top of my head, it's probably Sabu, Taz, Raven, and the Sandman. Or you can argue maybe not Raven, maybe Van Dam. Yeah. But my ECW memories are also very I was kind of getting off of ECW as everybody was getting on because it was more accessible. Like by the time Barely Legal comes around, I'm like ECW. I miss the old ECW, even though if you look back, it's not age well. But I mean, I think if you're talking about a Mount Rushmore, there's like 6 people who kind of stand out, 5 or 6 people. I think you got the a Dreamer. So you got to look at like for me, take your pick of Terry Funk. But Francine. Francine is very, very, very much like we said about Mikey Whipwreck, and maybe even more so. No offense against Mikey, an unsung hero.
I think Mikey would probably agree. Francine's probably a very unsung hero.
So Francine and Shane Douglas had that long run. This is when ECW is coming into their first pay-per-view, Barely Legal, where there's been a masked guy. So Shane Douglas's team was always a triple threat. The original triple threat is him, Benoit, Malenko. Later on, you have him, Candido, and Bam Bam. Brian Lee was involved. So there's a point where a guy in a mask is taunting Shane Douglas, and it's very clearly Rick Rude. Rick Rude just has that voice where it's Rick Rude if you hear him. You can't put Rick Rude in a mask and have him talk. But it becomes a joke. It becomes a joke that, like, this guy that's taunting Shane Douglas is obviously Rick Rude.
So they just put the mustache out of it?
No, you can see the mustache through the mask, too. So it was just obvious. It was like Midnight Rider. Like, we know who it is. So what they do to kind of mess with that perception is they do Shane Douglas against Pitbull 2 for the TV title at Barely Legal. And if Shane wins, the guy in the mask has to unmask. And even though everybody knows it's Rick Rude. And Shane Douglas, this is around that Halo shaking incident. He comes out with a guy that's in like full riot gear. And then Pitbull 2 comes out with a guy who's wearing the mask and he's wearing the Simply Ravishing robe. So they're playing right into it.
Yeah.
But finally, when Shane wins, the guy takes off the mask and it's Brian Lee. And then the guy in the riot gear takes his riot helmet off, and that's Rick Rude, and he chases Shane Douglas off. Yeah. Also, that was a legendarily bad match. Not the best ECW TV title match ever. But Shane Douglas is going to wind up losing to another one of the guys who had a long and storied run, Taz. Taz became the ECW champion, and this is a point where it's like, all right, Taz is probably the most over guy in the company. Like, Shane wound up segueing over to the ECW title, but it's like, well, he's just keeping that title warm for Taz because Taz is like the guy who everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
And Taz winds up with a really long run here, and his title loss is probably one of the most famous moments, maybe the most famous moment ever in ECW. He's defending against Bam Bam Bigelow in Asbury Park, New Jersey. He's got him in a Taz mission. He's jumping up on his back. Bigelow falls backward. They go through the ring. Bigelow comes out, pulls a lifeless Taz out, pins him 1, 2, 3, and wins the TV title. And Bam Bam's
Taz's head looks like it misses by that much.
Yeah. And Bam Bam's really just going to be a transitional champion here because he's going to lose it about a month later to the guy who did get managed by Bill Alfonso for that run, Mr. Monday Night, Mr. Pay-Per-View, the whole effing show himself, Rob Van Dam.
700 days.
Yeah, just a little bit short. And it would have been longer. It would have been longer. 700 days, almost 2 years, and it would have been longer. He only loses it because he got hurt. He only lost it because he got hurt. He messed up his leg. Or it seemed like eventually he was probably going to lose it to Rhino because they were really trying to strap the Rocket to Rhino. But yeah, the only reason he loses it 700 days in is because he got injured. And at this point, like the Van Dam Jerry Lynn matches, the Van Dam Len Storm matches, people are coming to see Van Dam. Van Dam is kind of far and away. No disrespect to the guys who had the title at that point. No respect to the Mike Awesomes of the world, the Masato Tanakas, the Just Incredibles.
The crowd connected with Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, Rob Van Dam was the guy. Rob Van Dam was the guy. And I don't know why they never pulled the trigger on him being the champion. Maybe they were concerned that there was always that thing, oh, Rob's going to jump. Rob's going to go to Raw. Rob's going to go to WCW. In fact, when Bischoff was trying to buy WCW at the very end with Fusion and all those things, one of Bischoff's plans was, we're going to bring in Rob Van Dam and build a company around him. Like Rob Van Dam was a hot commodity from like 1990, probably 1998, 1999 forward. Or maybe even a little before that. He was a red hot commodity that ECW kind of hung on to for a while. But with him out, Super Crazy winds up winning a tournament for it. Tajiri gets it for a bit. Rhino does get a long reign.
That's one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. I loved Tajiri. The buzzsaw kick was my finisher in every video game. I loved it.
It's very cool, very cool. The tarantula always got me. And in ECW, they didn't do the damn 5 count either. He could put that tarantula on. You could lose to the tarantula in ECW.
Yeah.
Rhino has the last big reign. He has the title for almost a year, but he does lose it to Kid Cash for a few weeks, and Rhino winds up being the final ECW TV champion. He did also win the ECW title on the very last pay-per-view. I think it was Guilty as Charged, whatever that last pay-per-view was. So he ends the original ECW as the TV champion and the heavyweight champion. And they did do a thing where they brought it back in GCW a few years ago where they did a match that was for it, even though they have no jurisdiction over that title. Matt Cardona beats him for it, and then he throws it in a garbage can a day later.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
I was just reading something. I don't know how true it is, though, but they were saying that a reason why the ECW title was gone, like someone stole it. Like it was backstage at the show and got stolen.
Yeah, that is, I guess that's a real thing. And at that point, they're losing a lot of money. So, they're losing a lot of money, so they're probably not going to be chipping in to buy a new one.
Yeah.
That's got to suck having to come up with a TV title out of nowhere. That's going to be a tough ask.
It's almost an impossible task to do unless you're
that's right. Unless you run with championship material, and then you can get whatever you want.
Yeah. Where does the ECW television title rank for you, BP, as a title you're fond of or have big moments for?
I think they've done as good at that through the life of that title. They've done as good a job as almost any quote unquote secondary title of making it mean something. Yeah. I never think there was always some kind of direction to that title where when it was Mikey and Jason, it was like, okay, well, we're doing this to elevate these characters. These guys are really good, strong characters. A lot of the other times it's Too Cold Scorpio, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero. These are some of the best wrestlers in the world, and they're fighting over this title. Even when you get to the Pitbulls and Shane Douglas, again, it's part of a big angle. With Taz and Van Dam, it's like, well, these guys might be the TV champion, but they're every bit as popular and every bit of a draw as that world champion most of the time, if not all the time. Like Van Dam was unequivocally the guy, and Taz, as soon as he lost that title to Bigelow, everybody knew, like, okay, well, obviously he's going to beat Shane for the world title now, and he did, and then he kept it until he left.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to ask you a question, BP, but I want to ask you, the audience. So if you're watching this later, or if you're checking out the comment section, or you're listening on audio platform, I know Spotify, there is a way you can leave a comment section in your thing. Tell me your Mount Rushmore for the ECW Television Championship, and comment them below why you picked them. And then I'm going to pose that question to you, BP. Who's your Mount Rushmore of ECW TV champions?
Well, let's get the two obvious ones out of the way first, and that's going to be Taz and Rob Van Dam.
Yep.
Taz,
you would go Taz automatically that high?
Yeah, Taz's his TV title run was the original of, okay, this title is on level with the world title. That's when it really kind of solidified. For another one, I don't just want to pick the people who had it the longest. So I am going to say Eddie Guerrero. I think Eddie Guerrero, through those Malenko Guerrero classics and just kind of putting that title, elevating what that title meant. You almost have to kind of take your pick between the two of them. I'm going to pick Eddie, but I'll say Eddie Guerrero. And because it was such a big angle, because it was another guy who he could be the ECW world champion at any time, Shane Douglas is going to be my fourth.
Yeah. Too Cold Scorpio is going to be the guy who holds it the most times.
Scorpio was close to me. Scorpio was the guys who got close to being on my list were Scorpio and Mikey.
So no one ever held the title 3 times only. It's been either it's a lot of two-time champions, a lot of one-time champions, but Too Cold Scorpio had it 4 times. So little fun fact there.
Yes, Too Cold was kind of again, I think they may have been hesitant to put the world title on him because you never know when WWE is going to come calling. But Too Cold was the anchor of their mid card for a long time.
Yeah. But the least amount of days is going to be Kid Cash and Tajiri, both at 13 days. Actually, these are consecutive days. Combined days So 14 days or 14 days. But they're going to be your some of your shorter runs. But then your longest is obviously RVD at 700.
If you would have told me to dip into my memory bank that Pitbull 2 was only the TV champion for 3 weeks, I would have said no way in hell. Like, really? It felt like he had like a 6-month reign for me. I don't know why.
Wow. I almost put Cardona on the thumbnail to be funny, but I was like, no, yeah.
The
Look at your
ECW,
face.
the ECW original Matt Cardona. That
Yeah,
stuff was a lot of fun.
the
That
ECW
stuff was so
original.
much fun.
Yeah. All right. So next week we'll be covering Saturday night's main event. We got to get you guys out of here. It's 8:00. You can guys go watch NXT. We're trying to get better with that. BP, anything you want to plug to get out of here?
One last time, we're gonna have PPW Winds of Winter. If you're local, ppwwrestling.com/shop. We are working on a way. We're probably gonna roll it out in January because we have that big show with a huge name attraction coming in. We are working out a way to get people for a very reasonable sum to be able to watch not just the PPW archive, but some new PPW stuff, hopefully some live stuff. So hopefully within the next few weeks, we will have that available. But yeah, we're going to have a fun show. We're going to have a few great title matches. Rembrandt's making his defense. South Philly's finest and Los Toxicos. Got a chance to spend some time with Los Toxicos over the weekend. I love those guys. Love Sebi, love Sutsio. Natty Castle was in action. TV title on the line. Sugar Dan Stavko, who is a guy I'm trying to buy a lot of stock in right now. I think he's one to watch for the future for sure. He's going to be but he's going to have to be one to watch for the present, because he's defending that TV title against Andy Header, or TV title, No Limits title against Andy Header. The TV title we talked about earlier, Diego Hill, Christian Robinson. Another match I think is going to be a lot of fun. Tag team match.
I think it's a match you got to circle on that card. Andy Header versus Sugar Dan.
Yes, absolutely.
I hate that I'm saying this for Andy, but Andy's a benchmark, like, to find out where you are in, like, you know what I mean? He's a former champion himself, world champion at places, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's held titles, he's been in the business a very long time. Sugar Dan's that flashy new guy, but like, has he mixed it up with a crafty veteran? And Andy Header's that veteran that could possibly take that title from him if he's not paying attention.
Could be adding that No Limits title to his list of accomplishments.
Yeah, that's a good matchup. That's gonna be a one to watch.
And one I think is going to be a lot of fun is going to be GKM and El Magnifico, an interesting tag team teaming for their. I don't know if they teamed elsewhere, but definitely for the first time in PPW. It's El Magnifico's PPW debut against a formidable tag team of Counter-Strike, Nolan Pierce and Mark Alexander, and that big battle royal. You never know who's going to show up in a battle royal. There could be people you aren't even thinking of that could show up in that battle royal and earn in one night a shot at that PPW heavyweight title. And wouldn't it be something if that quickly the curtain fell on Rembrandt's title reign?
How dare you? First off, how dare you?
Look, all I'm saying is there, and I don't want to give away too much. There's more than one artist in this scene. There's more than one person that loves the arts. There's more than one person that embraces that life in this scene. And if you're reading between the lines, there might be something special headed your way on Saturday.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's a wow. That's a thing. Anyway,
yeah, that's
also,
happening.
Ruda said also end the year strong with PPW, but start your year hot, bro.
Yes.
When PPW returns back in 2024, custom bro title on the way.
Yes,
there's your teaser right there. Ruda is bringing a custom bro title.
Yes, and stay tuned for more on that. That is going to be January 18th at the Sleddington Expo Center. PPW, hey bro, that's going to be our first event of the 2025 calendar, and it's going to be a big one. We've had a lot of interest on that, to say the least, already, and it's going to be something.
Yeah. The only thing I got is go check out 5 Questions with ABJ. Drops this Friday. It's the 100th 5 Questions with ABJ, and guess who my 100th guest is? BP.
Is it going to be Joel Ruda?
It is a Samira.
She's nice.
The 100th. It was actually not even like, it's a shoot 100. So when I was going through, I was like, "You're the 100th recording," and then she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's sick." Like, I wasn't really keeping track of them. That's awesome.
Samira is somebody I never really got a chance to work with that closely until this year, and it was very, very fun.
She's amazing. And then I'm a huge fan of Taking Back Sunday. They're my most listened to band almost 2 years in a row. Maybe not so much the newer stuff, but I love the old stuff. And got to meet Eddie Reyes when I ran my own music festival. And he's always followed, but I didn't realize how closely. And he reached out and he really likes the podcast. I'd love to come on it. And I got to interview him and talk about his old days in music and being part of that band and things he brought to that table. So that's a pretty big get for me, as someone like that. I really, really love their art and listen to them growing up, and someone who you respect their art so much then respects your art. It's like a weird mind fuck for me, but it really makes me feel good about myself. And I don't get that very often when it comes to my own art, but yeah, so I just got to interview Eddie from Eddie Reyes, the original member, Taking Back Sunday. Fate's Got a Driver, amazing musician, amazing father, amazing husband, amazing human. And that interview is out right now, so go check that out. That's pretty much all we got. We'll be back next Tuesday, 7:05, live here on YouTube. Bring a friend. Bring your friend with you next weekend. You know, you're listening in your car. You're like, you know what? I have nothing going on next Tuesday. I'm going to join in live.
Now,
I'm gonna get in the chat. I'm going to talk to the boys.
These pre-tapes, are we doing them this weekend and next weekend, or the 2 weekends after?
We'll try this weekend and next weekend, or we'll figure something out.
All right. So if you're local and you want to stop by Pilgrim Brewing in Pottsville on a Sunday afternoon, maybe 1 o'clock, good for you, because the Eagles play at 4 o'clock, so that'd be good for me.
Yeah, we'll shoot for that. So it all depends on my car situation as well.
You know what's happening the week after that, right?
What's that?
Right.
Playing each other.
Stay tuned. You know it's the week after that, right? I cannot hear you.
You can't hear me?
Commanders, and there's a very good chance that could be. I can hear you now. Yeah. There's a very good chance that could be a game where it could be a clincher if the Eagles win it.
Yeah, or Washington wins it.
Oh, they can't clinch right now.
We can clinch. We can come back.
No, but you can't clinch in 2 weeks.
That's true. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a tight, closing in on the season. Both of our teams are actually decent, which is fun. Haven't had that yet in our friendship, so that's fun. We've been friends for a minute. We haven't had a good Washington team.
Let's see how it lasts through that Sunday.
Yeah, I'm never gonna. You're a Cowboys fan. I can get angry, but I won't be that angry.
Yeah, don't never call me a Cowboys fan again.
Yeah, I would never. But we will get out of here. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, next week, bring your buddy, bring a friend. Let's hang out in the live chats. Thank you guys so much. If you have any ideas for episodes or content, please reach out to us. Follow us on social media. All links are below. And also go follow HTW Network on YouTube and follow all their stuff, as well as Ruda Entertainment on all social media. Get your damn belts already, all right? We're sick of it. We're sick of telling you look terrible. Get a belt. We'll see you next week.